PJs and Prosecco night.
Cheers.
Obviously it's mental, menopausal, magnificent me, and
Not quite so mental, menopausal, magnificent mate.
hey! And we are chilling in our PJs, drinking Prosecco. It's probably about 4:30. That's a bit later than
Not quite that
4:30.
early. It's not quite that early. No. 4:35.
Okay, I just wanted to know when it all started, and I'd gone to work and had like that burnout. I didn't know what it was at the time.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten how to teach. And then I remember calling you on this. I remember Paul came around on the Friday night and we went for a walk and fish and chips, and I didn't eat them and I wasn't talking much to him at all. And then on the Saturday, I remember pacing up and down and not being able to get any work done on my laptop, not even being able to put my password in or do anything. I remember having a huge list of things to do for work for the inspection, because I was going into school on the Sunday to see the head and we were going to look at a load of stuff together, but I remember having stuff to do.
Yeah.
So I was panicking because I hadn't been able to do any of that stuff, and was panicking because I'd forgotten how to teach. So I know there was a lot of chuntering and muttering and mumbling and repetitive phrases going on. But can you remember that phone call when I called you? And
Yeah.
because we were on and off the phone all day pretty much, weren't we?
We
What I
were,
remember.
and it was quite unusual because
I never called anyone.
No.
I never made phone
I mean,
calls.
even back then, and even certainly for as long as I can remember, if we'd have a regular catch up, we'd message every day, and text messaging each other every day is normal. That was our normal pattern. But if we wanted a phone call and a proper catch up, I'd kind of like. I'd say to
one
you,
in.
I'd book in. I'd say to you on the Wednesday, fancy a chat on Saturday morning, or and then it would be, are you still okay for a chat? And go and get a cup of tea, and we'd sit in our pajamas, both of us in our separate houses, or in bed usually, and we'd have a cuppa. So this is PJs is pretty standard for us. But that Saturday, I was aware, obviously, of all the pressure that you'd been under at work, and sort of the messages that you'd been sending me. I could feel the stress building, and that had been building for some time.
Yeah, because I was supposed to go to my sister's for the weekend before.
Yeah, and you'd
With Tam,
cancelled.
and I'd
Yes,
cancelled
and you'd
it.
cancelled that.
Yeah, because I had too much to do.
Yeah, and the inspection. So, but it for a long time before then, it wasn't just that week. It had been building and building and building, and obviously, as a protective friend, I'm like, I don't want Claire under all this stress, kind of thing. So, I could feel it building, and I wanted to do what I could to alleviate it. But what was different this time was that you had been through. I'd never known anyone that could do an inspection like you, that could you just rocked it. You were so good at them, and you were brilliant at your job, and you just breezed through these things because you trusted and you had faith in yourself and your ability, and you're just like, yeah, I'm just gonna, this is what, and I'm going to talk to this person and that person, and you'd always been so good at them. And I think that's backed up by evidence from your other colleagues. So this was already, this felt, I was like, what's the issue? Come on, Claire, I don't know why this is different. And you phoned me on that Saturday morning, and you were talking, but you were talking and talking and talking, but you couldn't hear anything that I was saying. So it was like you wanted to talk and you wanted to say these things, but you were going round and round the same things.
I was closed off as well.
Totally couldn't. And I remember sort of scratching my head and not really understand, because it was so weird and different, and I didn't know this person. I couldn't recognise this person that you were straight away, and it was so obviously I was worried and I was concerned, and I thought, bloody hell, she's under so much stress, and this is abnormal, and I don't get what's happening.
So you knew at that point it was different to what it had been
absolutely
before.
I'd never known you to be like that before.
No,
I'd never known that level.
I'd never been like that before, had I?
That kind of shut off and closed down, And yes, we were on the phone, and I was talking, and I was trying to be the voice of reason and talking you through it, and nothing I said would have made any difference at that point. So I think maybe hearing my voice was nice and comforting, but nothing else was, because you were in that mindset straight away of, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it, and that was all you could say at that point. So I remember we were on the phone. We must have been on the phone for well over an hour, and I said, right, I'm gonna let you go. And we kind of came up with a plan, or tried to come up with a plan of what you were going to go and try and do. And then I'd arranged to call you later on. But I came off the phone and I felt really unsettled. And I thought, I need to reach out. And at that point, obviously I knew Paul from being in your life, but I didn't have him as a contact. But I managed to find him on Facebook. And I knew that you'd been with him the night before, and I knew you were seeing him, you were like catching up over the weekend. So I thought, I need to talk to him because he's close to you. Obviously we're, 2.5 hours away from each other at that point. So I just messaged Paul and said, I've been talking to Claire this morning, I'm worried about her, something really isn't right. Can you pop in? And then I think he did that evening. He came to see you on the Saturday. And then he I think he messaged me back that night and said, this, I don't know what's going on, but he told me that he was going to take you in to see, you were going into school the next morning. You were supposed to be going in to do some work with Matt, but Paul was like, I just need, she can't do this. And I was like, just take her, don't let her go. She doesn't need to be there. Like, school isn't everything. And obviously, absolutely, I was already, there's more to life than school, Claire's health and whatever, and her well-being.
Whereas I was very much, I need to go in. I said I was going in. I need to go in, even though I can't work. And bearing in mind, it's a 40-minute drive as well from where I was living then. And I remember going in and driving all the way in to see Matt then. But
I know Paul said that you were shaking. You at this point, everything that I know about that day and the day after came from Paul, because you then couldn't talk to me. You couldn't tell me what you'd experienced that day. I was messaging you. You weren't answering text messages and stuff, I think. Or if you did, it was just the same thing. And it was just that. So you'd gone a little bit at that point. So I was so glad that Paul and I had made contact, because he was able to tell me what had happened. And hearing about you going into school and just breaking down and literally just, I don't know what the correct term for it would be, but I don't know. You just know.
It was really erratic.
Yeah. Like, and there's absolutely no way in a million years it was just because you were worried about an inspection. That was never it. It was clear there was so much more going on.
Well, I thought it was permanent.
But just none of us knew what it was, and none of us knew what was happening. So it was really alarming, and I kept thinking, oh no, I know, and you sort of you were not going to go into work the next day, and I was like, thank God for that, brilliant. Okay, she's taken a bit of time just to get us, and my naivety and my optimism, and I just thought, she'll have a couple of days, she's taking the pressure off, she'll be fine. Little did we know.
It's funny because at that point when I went in to see Matt and say, my behaviour was so erratic and I didn't know really what was going on or what my own name was, I knew in that moment that I was never going to teach in that school again. I remember that feeling so strongly. But I think that's because I thought I'd lost the power and the ability to teach.
Yeah.
And it was never going to come back.
Yeah.
Because that's what it felt like. It felt like it was a permanent thing.
And that alone, you see, must have been, that was your life. 26 years of your life you had given
That's
to
all
that
I've
school.
ever known.
Yeah. And it's you as a person, it was so much a part of you. It wasn't just your job.
No.
It was so much a part of you. So to suddenly feel like that's it. I mean, that's devastating in its own. That's devastating in itself, let alone anything else that was going on. So I can't.
But it wasn't permanent.
It wasn't.
And here we are.
I know.
PJs and pyjamas.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
So, on with the next adventure.
Hey.